Everyone, it is me, Steve, and I am going to take you on a journey to the Evolving Planet exhibit in the Chicago Field Museum. It's a great exhibit. I wish everyone could get to see it. If you can't, that's all right. That's why I'm doing this. We went here on January 15th, 2018, which was Martin Luther King Day, so it was a free day. It was kind of crowded. I want to introduce you to Sue, the T-Rex. She's on the first floor. She's not actually in the exhibit. The quality of this video, for some reason, there's a lot of background noise, so I'm doing a voiceover. Hopefully I can remember what I actually said throughout the video. But anyway, let's get started. Here's the entrance to the Evolving Planet. It's on the second floor of the Field Museum. And the dinosaurs and everything are in here. It goes through the entire history of the planet to present day. As you walk in, you come into the formation of the Earth, and it first starts with 4 billion years ago. There's geologic columns on the sides of every one of these. They're a few years out of date. We've refined the dates since this exhibit first came up, but they're close enough. There's the geologic column. Now, Earth is really young here, and the Precambrian actually takes up about 88.1% of Earth's history. I believe that said 90. Might have said 80. I forgot. But this is first single-celled life, which appears for sure about 3.5 billion years ago, although there are some people trying to push that date back right now. But this is the first confirmed oldest life, and we know that from the rock record. And here's an example. Now, as we go from over here, I was going to look at that, but it's no pointless doing that. We cut to about... we cut to stromatolites. Yes, these are the oldest single-celled macrofossils on the planet. They're actually just community of organisms, and they are the only life I actually care about. I am a Precambrian geologist, so fossils aren't really my bag. But this right here, this piece is from Michigan. It says it's from the UP. My guess is that actually from the Kona Formation. I've looked at that rock, and it looks a lot like this. It's a very pretty rock. It doesn't say give the exact location, though. And there it is. There's a nice close-up of it. It's stromatolite, and it's been cut and polished. Okay, now we move to about 2.5 billion years ago to the Great Oxygenation Event, or GOE. This is when free oxygen started getting pumped into the atmosphere, because we can tell this through the presence of red beds. And here is a piece of banded iron formation, my favorite rock in the world. This piece actually is from the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. There's a lot of that type of rock up there. It is also the only sedimentary rock Earth no longer makes. And I don't know why, but for some reason they have a picture from Australia here. Probably just because it's an uncovered hilltop and easy to see. But that's probably why. All right, now just past that, they start getting into how cells started becoming complicated, and they started diversifying, and reproduction changed, and all of that stuff. And this piece of rock is also likely from the Kona or Mesnard Formation in the UP. It is from the UP, and it has some non-stromatolite evidence of life. And those formations are about 2.25 billion years old, I think, something like that. And from here, we skip a huge amount of time to about 600 million years ago. We're in millions of years now. And here's a reconstruction of what an ancient seabed would have looked like. They skip that significant amount of time because life doesn't change much until here. Now we start to diversify. We start to see complex multicellular organisms for the first time. And over here is the beginning of the Cambrian. They have the beginning at 543 million years ago. We've refined that to 541 million years ago since then, but it's close enough. And here's just a quick look up the column for you. And we will now enter the Phanerozoic. All right, so now we have entered the Phanerozoic at the beginning, first periods Cambrian, and here are Trilobites. Trilobites dominated the seas from the Cambrian until they became extinct at the end of the Permian, so they did not survive the Paleozoic. Most were about this size, and I love this display because it shows such a variety of trilobites, and some with little eye stalks, and that rolling in balls like this was actually common. They would roll up in balls like that, and we find a lot of them like that. That's, like I said, it's pretty common. And their little eye stalks make them look real cute. Sarah loves the ones with the eye stalks, but they are no longer with us, and they went, like I said, extinct at the end of the Permian, and most were that size, although I think they did get to 3.5 feet. Sorry, I repeated myself a lot here. This is just a display to show you what an aquarium during the Cambrian would look like. If you had one that was set to look exactly like the bottom of a Cambrian sea. It's sort of like a window into the ancient Cambrian Sea. Unfortunately, while I was recording, not much was swimming by, except a little protovertebrate there. And here are some more trilobites. These are Ordovician, and I just love the way those guys look. They're all clustered together. And this guy, unique to the state of Illinois, Illinois state fossil from Mazon Creek area only. It is the Tully monster. And until 2016, we didn't really know what it was. It's a fish. Did not see that one coming. Okay, from this point on, Sarah's videos are going to take over. Hers have better sound quality, so I will be including videos with sound from this point on, some without.
There he is. Reconstruction. Wasn't a very big guy. This is actually the front. That's the back. I did not see that one coming, though. A fish. Not see that one. Now we're gonna into Indian forest. There it is, Sarah. Here. Wish he was still around.
All right, now we are in the Permian, and this is just showing you the development of the shelled egg. And as we come over here, we are getting into very interesting animals because they are related to us. They are paramammals, mammal-like reptiles. I think the name paramammal has been changed. I have no idea what it is now, but there's one in particular I want to show you because it's one everyone's familiar with, and they think it's a dinosaur or a reptile, and that is Dimetrodon. Dimetrodon predates the dinosaurs. During the Permian, the end of the Phanerozoic, there were no dinosaurs, and here he is. He's more closely related to us than he is to other reptiles and not even related to dinosaurs.
Now during this time, Pangea had assembled, and here's some climate zones during that time. If you notice here in the different climate regions, nearest the equator are quenched by rain in the summers with dry the rest of the year. Zones slightly further from the equator were desert year-round. Notice there's no ice caps. Ice caps are actually rare in the history of the Earth. They're not common. Then we have some zones. Obviously, there were still some plants in the lower warm areas. And we have cool and seasonal zones. And here's the worst mass extinction in Phanerozoic history, the one that makes even the KT1 look like child's play.
250 million years ago, perhaps
Let's do this here.
a wave of cosmic environmental change wiped out about 9 species.
That's a lot. But out of that third mass extinction, the dinosaurs would appear. You have mass extinction number 4. And this was the Triassic Jurassic
We'll
one.
through it again. Why don't we finish and then we'll come around and okay.
This goes through the details as to what separates a dinosaur from other reptiles, if you will, and archosaurs from other reptiles.
All right, I'm going to do voiceover again for a little bit here. This is a Pterosaurus, the old Brontosaurus. I remember when the skeleton was downstairs. I don't remember when it had the incorrect head on it, though. Here are the three main type of sauropods based on skull morphology. Is that another angle? Here's looking back up at a Pterosaurus and back down. There'll be a lot of sexy dinosaur footage through here. Here is Stegosaurus. Stegosaurus is Jurassic, and so was a Pterosaurus. Stegosaurus, we now know the plate arrangement on Stegosaurus. That was a big controversy up, I think, until the mid-90s when it was finally resolved based on fossil evidence. And as you can see, they had really small heads, even for dinosaurs. And these are little quizzes they have throughout the museum for kids to test their knowledge. And there's details on the Stegosaurus. And here is the Chicago skyline out of the window. That is a north view. And here is some dinosaur booty. This is Gorgeous George. This is a Tyrannosaur that has been renamed several times. It used to be downstairs before Sue came, and downstairs in the main lobby. And Gorgeous George is an icon in the Field Museum. Not quite as big as Tyrannosaurus Rex, but still pretty large. The present name for genus accepted for this skeleton is Dyspladiosaurus, and as you can see down here, there's his two claws, so he's a Tyrannosaur. And you can see this Hadrosaur they've had down here that he was hunting. That's always been with the skeleton, even when it was positioned incorrectly in an upright stature back when I was a kid.
During the Mesozoic, that's when Pangea began to break up as well. During the Mesozoic, we also got the birth of flowering plants.
All right, now we're getting into the Ceratopsians. They were Cretaceous, just like the T-Rexes and other Tyrannosaurs. So that they were plant eaters, and here's perhaps the most famous Triceratops. But there were a lot of Ceratopsians, or horned dinosaurs. Here's just a few. There's three here, and not all of them were extremely large either. There's the other ones. There's their skeletons. That's another Triceratops, and that's right. They just had the frill of the other one. So big or small, just like it says there. They could be either or. Triceratops was actually a pretty large one. And then you have like Styracosaurus here. I believe that one there. As you see the tiny ones, well, those are like Protoceratops, which is right here. A little Protoceratops right here. Not a very big dinosaur at all. A little tiny one of the first ones. First Ceratopsians, not one of the first dinosaurs. Here's looking back at them. And this is just something that tells you about Sue's world from a geographical standpoint. And here are some other fossils from the eras, from the Mesozoic. Most of this exhibit is dedicated to the Mesozoic as a whole. Triassic, Jurassic, and Cretaceous are obviously the periods. They kind of just mixed them together in this one tiny area. Those are cool because they magnify. Here's another one of those little quizzes I was talking about earlier. This one's on Sue. And there's a picture of Sue. They have that on postcards and stuff in the gift shop. Okay, so the Mesozoic wasn't just all dinosaurs. We also had pterosaurs. And we had a lot of marine reptiles as well. And we had things like crocodiles. Going to come back to these little skulls later. We actually ran into somebody who knew a little something about that little tiny croc skull. But here's some pterosaurs. Pterosaurs generally were not that big. Of course, you know, in movies and stuff, they always show the biggest thing they can. But most were small, you know, seagull sized. Here there's even some turtles, and I love turtles, and here's their shells. And turtle shells actually evolved from their rib cages. They didn't evolve as bone on top of them, and you can kind of see that even in here. And throughout the... Wait, let's go down. Yeah, I forgot I did that. So you can get a look in the shell. And you look at these paintings up here. These were done by Charles Knight in the 19th century, and a book of his works is actually for sale in the gift shop. And he was actually a pretty good progressive thought artist during his time. I believe he was 19th century. And there's some plesiosaurs on the wall.
You see the duckbill standing up right here.
He fell out of the head, but we've actually found the teeth, and those are teeth shaped like that of an iguana. So this thing was eating plants, but in the same place you have little crocodiles that could run and hunt insects, and you have the big bone-eating crocodiles like Majangasuchus. It's got a big flat head, and very thick bones, so it can crunch down on a turtle or crunch down on a baby dinosaur.
Here's just a quick note on the bones, skeletons. Most of the stuff on display here are actual skeletons. Most museums don't do that. They're casts. But yeah, there's that. And now we get to mass extinction number 5, which is the one everyone has heard of, the KT1. Still not as bad as the Permian one. Now we get to the rise of the mammals. Mammals actually evolved with the dinosaurs. They were just tiny rodent size. But the extinction of the dinosaurs let them set the stage for mammals. It's going to be a while before we get to that. We're still at about 66, 65 million years.
Here, what you see is one of the very first primates. Primates started to evolve not too long after mammals came to rise, if you will. And not all mammals are pretty looking in what we're familiar with today. There were some ugly ones. Here's some of the more famous, typical ugly ones, if you will, for lack of a better term. Like I said, I'm not a fossil guy, but I do find I do think mammal evolution, just like evolution in general, is pretty awesome. And here's a zoom out of it. Now we go to other things. There were still other things around that survived the KT extinction. We still have crocodiles, like this one here. We started to go from we started to have a very warm planet during the first few million years of the Cenozoic. And here's some other surviving reptiles that outlived the dinosaurs. There we go. And the northern, and some of them, reach pretty far north. What do we have here? Birds. At this time, toothed birds from the Cretaceous were all extinct, and only toothless birds survived. These would be the avian dinosaurs. We have insects here. We have crustaceans, fish, stuff we're pretty familiar with today. The world is starting to take on a very modern look at this time. And we go over here, and what we see here is Antarctica eventually separates from what used to be Pangaea, and it becomes isolated, and the seas began to circle around it. This is when Antarctica began to freeze over, I think somewhere around 25 million years ago, once it became isolated from Australia and South America. Now, we get into something really cool here. The South American terror birds. These things were, this is a smaller one actually. Some got much larger than a human being, but they went extinct about 2 million years ago or so, maybe just shy of that, and it probably had something to do with the land bridge connection between North and South America, and predators from the north like cats came in and may have outcompeted them because cats can do things like climb trees and stuff. These things could not. They could not even fly. And they relied strictly on their jaws. There could be a combination of factors, as things usually are like this. Alright, we are going to leave the terror birds now and get into human evolution. I cut the sound down here because there was one of those people walking around. You all know the ones I'm talking about, the ones trying to win the Ken Sham of the Month award. But anyway, first we're going to start here with Lucy. And this is a reconstruction to scale. As you can see, Lucy was not very big. Sarah's about 5'10", and the replica is on a platform. And here is the skeleton of Lucy. I don't think this is the original skeleton. I think that's somewhere else. But as you can see, the skeleton was incomplete, but we have plenty of fossils of other Australopithecines. And here are some early hominids, not quite Homo yet, but Australopithecines and the gorilla-like genus. I forget how to pronounce the name because of the P. And here is the first. This is Homo Gaster, the first fully upright hominid that we know of. All right, and this takes us through the evolution of the human brain, kind of. As you can see here, these skulls are all of hominids, and they have very large brow ridges. Modern human beings actually have very large brow ridges, too. It's just our skull has kind of like overridden the brow ridges, but we still have them. This isn't really a primitive feature. I don't know why people keep saying it is, although our brow ridges are different. And there was a general trend towards larger brain size, but not always. And here are the Neanderthals, as Sarah calls them, my peeps. But as you can see, they were a lot shorter than modern humans, about 5'5". And standing on the platform, it's about as tall as Sarah. But their skeletons are morphologically very distinct. This is a modern human being. And you can see differences right off the bat, like the shape of the rib cages for when the Neanderthals flared down is where ours do not. That is just one of the minor ones, or one of the obvious ones. Pelvis was bigger too. The opening was bigger. The hands were a little more robust, so were the legs. And now you start to look at the skull of the two skeletons, and you start to see some distinct differences. Like the Neanderthals had a much wider nose opening than modern humans did, but our eye sockets are roughly about the same size. But modern human skeletons a little leaner, a little taller. Hands are a little more nimble, but there's a lot of skull differences too. Not just the brow ridges and the sloping forehead on the Neanderthal, but modern humans have a cleft chin, and our brow ridges also have clefts in them. This is not seen in any other hominid species. Our noses also protrude outward from our face, from like the center of our face, where Neanderthals' noses kind of protruded in a weird fashion. They also had unique nasal bones. Okay, here is the parent species of both Neanderthals and us, Homo heidelbergensis. They were an African species, although morphologically they kind of look like a tall Neanderthal. They did have a modern human comparative brain size, and they did things like wore clothes, could start fires. So they were more like us and the Neanderthals, even though they kind of looked more like Neanderthals. And over here is a history of stone tools that hominids used, and over here is art. All art on caves and everything can be attributed to Homo sapiens. And Sarah made a comment here about how they like their women big. It was hilarious. But anyway, art seems to be a strictly Homo sapien thing. Neanderthals didn't do it. Heidelbergensis didn't do it. No one before that Heidelbergensis did it. It's kind of unique. And here is a dead modern Homo sapien female, and we ritualistically bury our dead. All right, we tend to adorn them with ornaments and things like that, as where Neanderthals did not. Their burial practices seem to be more practical, like to keep predators out and not get sick. But here is a reconstruction of that skeleton, and as you can see, there's the head adornment found within it, and she is a fully modern human being. And she was, that was the position she was found in as well.
Ancestor whales. Goes through the evolution of whales.
Now we are entering the Ice Ages, well, the modern ones, the Quaternary ones, and here is one of the lines of evidence that ice traveled across the land. I found pieces of glacial striations in these areas, and that's what they're showing here. These are from, one of these is from Michigan, I believe. But we know that these are caused by glaciers because they're linear. As where pebbles and streams, the pebbles tend to knock around and make curved scratches, and they're not this deep. These are really deep in most places, and they indicate ice direction. The direction of the striation indicates the direction of ice movement. And there's just some more information there. There's a good picture of some in stew glacial striations.
Pretty big, huh? Oh, sorry, guys. This shows the formation of the connection between North and South America panel, which was about 2 million years ago. Biggest deer. The what?
Interesting stuff with them.
When did they go extinct, does it say? Dying out 8,000 years ago. I'm kind of glad those aren't still around. Could you imagine hitting them with your car? Because that's what they do. Deer do that. They just stand in the road until you hit them. Those mammoths. Got some horses, bison, animals still around today. Mastodon, and one big beaver. There. Mastodons. I forgot where I was going with that. That's today's mass extinction.
And that is the last thing in the exhibit. And as we walk out here into the gallery, I love this part because there is an excellent quote by Charles Darwin on the wall here. And I love these pictures. And I hope this tour was good, and I hope you enjoyed the commentary. And the gift shop's awesome. You can buy booze. But anyway, that's it. If you want, go ahead, leave a comment, like and subscribe. And have some beaver butt!